The fluorescent lights in Dr. Marshall's office buzzed like angry wasps as I stared at the X-rays pinned to the light board. My heart wasn't just failing, it was betraying me, just like everything else in my life would soon enough. I'm Olivia, and 6 months ago I was planning other people's dream weddings. Now I can barely climb a flight of stairs without feeling like I'm drowning on dry land. Mrs. Pierce, these test results are concerning, Dr. Marshall said, tapping his pen against my file. The valve deterioration has accelerated. Without surgical intervention, within the next few months, I'm afraid... How much? I interrupted, already dreading the answer. Even with insurance, you're looking at significant out-of-pocket costs, roughly $60,000. I thought about the joint savings account Wallace and I had built over 12 years of marriage. We had more than enough. Still, my stomach clenched as I imagined his reaction. That evening, I found Wallace in his home office, illuminated by his laptop's blue glow. He barely looked up when I entered. The tests came back, I said, my voice smaller than I wanted it to be. Dr. Marshall says I need surgery, soon. Wallace's fingers stopped typing. He swiveled his chair toward me, his face arranged in what I'd come to think of as his concerned husband expression. Darling, you're just stressed. Remember last year when you were convinced you had MS? This is different. I have the scans, the results. Olivia. He stood up, wrapping his arms around me. You'll be fine. And we can't afford major surgery right now anyway. The market's been volatile, and with the new property tax assessments, I pulled away. We have the savings, which we agreed to keep for emergencies. This is an emergency. Let's try some lifestyle changes first, he said soothingly. More rest, better diet, maybe some yoga. 2 weeks later, I was confined to bed rest. My body felt like it was made of lead, and each breath was a conscious effort. Wallace started working later, coming home with his cologne masked by unfamiliar scents. He'd peek into our bedroom, ask if I needed anything, then retreat to his office. Just a rough patch at work, he'd say when I asked about the late nights. Nothing for you to worry about. Focus on getting better. One afternoon, while Wallace was at work, I dragged myself downstairs for a change of scenery. His laptop sat open on the kitchen counter. He'd been checking emails over breakfast. As I reached to close it, a notification popped up. Final escrow approval. Sunset Oasis. My finger hovered over the mousepad. Wallace and I had promised never to keep secrets, but lately, those promises felt as fragile as my health. I clicked. The attachment opened to reveal a scanned document, official letterhead gleaming at the top. My eyes caught on phrases that seemed to pulse on the screen. Beachfront property, final purchase price, $875,000, buyers, Wallace Pierce, and... The room spun. That was more than our entire savings. The money that wasn't there for my surgery was being poured into concrete and ocean views. My phone buzzed, a text from Wallace. Working late again. Don't wait up. Take your meds. Love you. I stared at those 3 words until they blurred. Love. What a convenient shield for cruelty. That night, I lay beside my sleeping husband, listening to his steady breathing. He'd come home smelling of expensive whiskey and wearing the self-satisfied smile I used to find charming. Now it looked more like a mask, carefully constructed to hide whatever lived beneath. I had a great meeting today, he'd announced earlier, loosening his tie. Things are really coming together. I'd smiled weakly, playing my part. That's wonderful, honey. He'd kissed my forehead, his lips barely touching my skin. Get some rest. You're looking a bit pale. Now, in the darkness, I opened my phone and pulled up the email I'd forwarded to myself. The property documents swam before my eyes, each line a fresh betrayal. My fingers traced the edge of my phone case, where I'd hidden the micro SD card containing everything I'd downloaded from his laptop. Wallace shifted in his sleep, throwing an arm across my waist. I didn't flinch. I'd had plenty of practice playing the docile, dying wife. But as I lay there, my failing heart thundering in my chest. I made a decision. If Wallace wanted to plan for a future without me, I'd help him experience it, just not in the way he expected. I opened my messages and typed, "Nicole, I need your help. Can you come over tomorrow? There's something I need to show you." My sister's response was immediate. "Of course. Everything okay?" I looked at my husband's peaceful face and felt something cold settle in my chest. "No," I wrote back, "but it will be." Nicole arrived the next morning clutching 2 coffee cups and wearing her lawyer face, the same expression she used when preparing for difficult depositions. "You look like hell," she said, handing me a cup. "Thanks. I feel worse." I led her to the kitchen, checking my phone. "Wallace has a client meeting until noon. We have time." I pulled up the property documents on my tablet. Nicole's eyes widened as she scrolled, her coffee forgotten. "This can't be legal," she muttered. "He's using joint assets without your consent. When did you sign these?" "I didn't. Look at the signature date." She squinted. "Last Tuesday? But you were in the hospital for tests." "Exactly." Nicole's face darkened. "He forged your signature?" "Apparently, I've been very busy signing things I don't remember." I pulled out a stack of papers from under the kitchen towels. Bank transfers, property agreements, even a new life insurance policy application. "Jesus Christ, Olivia!" Nicole pushed away from the counter, pacing. "We need to call the police." "Not yet." I held up my hand. "I need to understand everything first. Help me get into his laptop?" She hesitated. "You know that's not exactly legal." "Neither is forging your dying wife's signature." 20 minutes later, we were staring at a folder labeled Sunset Oasis Plan. Inside were hundreds of files, architectural drawings, furniture catalogs, landscaping quotes, all dated after my diagnosis. "Look at this email thread," Nicole said, clicking. "Mom and Dad will love the Ocean View Master Suite. It's perfect for their retirement. That son of a—" "Keep reading," Nicole scrolled, her face growing stonier. "Once everything's settled with O, we can start the renovations." "O being you, I assume?" My husband's apparently not big on spelling out the name of the wife he's planning to outlive. "Olivia, this is—" Nicole trailed off, opening another document. Suddenly, she grabbed my arm. "Wait, what's this?" She pointed to a clause buried in the contract. Survivorship consideration. My hands shook as I read it. The words seemed to burn themselves into my brain. In the event of Mrs. Pierce's death prior to final property transfer, all equity and ownership rights revert solely to Mr. Pierce. "He's betting on me dying," I whispered. "He's actually betting on it." Nicole slammed the laptop shut. "That's it. I'm calling Marcus in white-collar crimes." "No." My voice was stronger than I expected. "Not yet. Olivia, he's literally planning your death, and I'm going to let him think he's winning." I took a deep breath. Wallace's parents are having their 50th anniversary party next month. Everyone will be there. Family, friends, business associates. So, I want them all to witness what happens when you underestimate a dying woman. Nicole studied my face. "What are you planning?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Wallace. "Hello, darling." His voice oozed concern. "How are you feeling?" "Tired." I made my voice weak. "Nicole's here helping me with some soup." "That's nice. Listen, I just got the invitation to Mom and Dad's anniversary party. I know you're not feeling well, but they'd love to see you. It might be your last chance to attend a big family event." I caught Nicole's eye, and she nodded slowly. "Of course I'll come," I said softly. I wouldn't miss it. After hanging up, I turned to Nicole. "I need you to help me find every document, every email, every scrap of evidence, and I need you to be very, very quiet about it." "What about your surgery?" I smiled grimly. "Oh, I'll get the surgery, with Wallace's money. He just doesn't know it yet." Nicole pulled out her legal pad. Okay, start from the beginning. Tell me everything. For the next hour, we pieced together Wallace's betrayal like a jigsaw puzzle of deceit. Each new discovery made my blood run colder. Consulting with estate lawyers, viewing properties with his mother, even researching hospice care options, all while telling me we couldn't afford my treatment. One more thing, Nicole said, reviewing her notes. We should talk to Amber. Wallace's assistant? Why? Because if he's been manipulating your medical correspondence, she might know something. And from what you've told me about her, she doesn't seem like the type to enjoy watching someone die for convenience. I nodded slowly. Set up a coffee meeting, somewhere private. As Nicole packed up her things, she paused. Are you sure about this? Once you start, there's no going back. I looked at our wedding photo on the wall. Wallace beaming, me radiant in white. Both of us believing in forever. He killed that marriage the moment he decided my death was an acceptable business strategy. I straightened my shoulders. Now I'm just making sure he feels the loss. I spent the next week perfecting my performance as the perfect dying wife. Every grimace of pain, every labored breath, all carefully choreographed for Wallace's benefit. Maybe we should look into hospice options, I suggested one evening, watching his reaction over my untouched dinner plate. Wallace's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Already? I mean, isn't that a bit premature? Dr. Marshall says I should consider all options. I pushed away my plate with trembling hands. I just want to make things easier for you. After... His face softened with what I now recognized as calculated concern. Let's not think about that yet. He reached across the table, squeezing my hand. Though it's very thoughtful of you to consider my needs. I bet it is, I thought, forcing tears to my eyes. That night, I started my documentation. Voice memos disguised as a grief diary, hidden cameras in my bedroom recording Wallace's conversations about my condition, meticulous logs of my medication, which he'd begun helping me manage. Here's your evening dose, he'd say, handing me pills that I'd later spit into tissues. I wasn't about to trust anything he gave me anymore. Nicole called the next morning. Amber agreed to meet. Tomorrow at 2, at that quiet cafe on Mason Street. Did she say why she's willing to talk? No, but she sounded nervous. The cafe was nearly empty when I arrived. Amber sat in a corner booth, fidgeting with her phone. She looked up as I approached, her eyes widening at my deliberately pale appearance. Mrs. Pierce, Olivia, you look like death warmed over? I smiled weakly, sliding into the booth. Please, be honest. Amber glanced around before leaning forward. I've been wanting to talk to you for weeks, but Wallace, Mr. Pierce, he's very particular about your care. You mean about controlling information? She nodded, pulling out an envelope. These came to the office last month. Medical bills, insurance statements. He told me to redirect all your mail there, said he didn't want you stressed about paperwork. My hands shook as I examined the documents. Denied claims, payment notices, all hidden from me. There's more, Amber whispered. Last week I overheard him on the phone with the insurance company. He was increasing your life insurance policy to $1.5 million. And when was this policy taken out? Right after your diagnosis. Amber's voice cracked. I'm so sorry. I should have said something sooner. I reached across the table, squeezing her hand. You're saying something now, that's what matters. Back home, I found Wallace in high spirits. Darling, I've been thinking about Mum and Dad's anniversary party. We should make it special. Oh? Yes, I've got a surprise planned. Something to show everyone how much family means to us. I bet you do, I thought, but said, That's wonderful, honey. I hope I'm strong enough to fully appreciate it. His smile flickered. Actually, about that, I've been talking to Dr. Marshall. My heart jumped. You have? Yes, about possibly reducing your medication. He thinks some of your weakness might be from over-medication. Liar. I'd called Dr. Marshall's office yesterday. Wallace hadn't spoken to him in weeks. Whatever you think is best, I murmured, swaying slightly for effect. Wallace caught my elbow, steering me toward the stairs. Let's get you to bed. You look exhausted. That night I lay awake imagining my own funeral. Wallace would be the grieving widower, his mother Jordan patting his hand sympathetically. She was so brave, they'd say, while dividing up my possessions. My phone buzzed softly, a text from Nicole. Found something big. The survivorship clause, it's tied to a trust fund. If you die before the property transfer, Wallace gets everything. If you live, he loses it all. I typed back. How much? $2 million from his parents. Apparently they've been planning this for months. The pieces clicked into place. The rushed property purchase, the life insurance policy, the sudden interest in hospice care. They weren't just waiting for me to die. They were counting on it. I got up quietly, retrieved my grief diary recorder, and whispered into it. Day 15. Sometimes I wonder if Wallace knows I can see through his act. If he realizes that every time he brings me the wrong pills, every time he lies about talking to my doctor, he's giving me ammunition. I paused, watching Wallace's sleeping form. He thinks he's writing my obituary, but I'm actually writing his confession. My phone lit up again. Nicole. What do you want to do? I looked at the anniversary party invitation on my nightstand. 6 weeks. 6 weeks to gather evidence, set my trap, and prepare for the performance of my life. Keep digging, I wrote back, and help me plan a party they'll never forget. You look absolutely radiant, Gianna gushed, as I tried on dresses for the anniversary party. Her voice dripped with the same artificial sweetness Wallace used when lying about my medication. Do I? I turned to examine myself in the boutique's mirror. I was worried I looked too pale. No, you have this ethereal quality. Gianna adjusted the sleeve of my dress, her diamond bracelet catching the light. A bracelet I'd never seen before. That's beautiful, I said, nodding toward her wrist. New? Her hand jerked away. Oh, this old thing? Just something I treated myself to. I smiled, remembering the identical bracelet I'd seen in Wallace's browser history last week, a $3,000 purchase from Tiffany's. My phone buzzed. Nicole. Found Gianna's name on the Sunset Oasis guest list. Private opening event next month. I typed back. Not surprised. Keep digging. Olivia? Gianna touched my arm. You seemed far away for a moment. Just tired. Would you mind taking a photo? I want to show Wallace. As she stepped back with my phone, I noticed her quickly closing message notifications. But not quickly enough. I caught a glimpse of Wallace's name. That evening, I waited until Wallace was in the shower before checking Gianna's social media. Her Instagram was filled with recent photos at expensive restaurants, always carefully cropped to hide her companion. The locations matched Wallace's client dinner dates perfectly. My phone rang. Amber. Olivia, she whispered. Tony just came to the office. He and Wallace are in a meeting about something called a life transition plan. They're talking about you. I pressed record on my phone. Tell me everything. Tony's handling the legal paperwork. Something about transferring assets after you're gone. Gianna was mentioned. They're planning something for after the anniversary party. My hands shook as I ended the call. I opened my laptop and began typing. Dear Gianna, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to thank you for your friendship during this difficult time. I've updated my will and included a special bequest for you, something to remember me by. Would you meet me for coffee to discuss it? 20 minutes later, she replied, Of course, darling. Tomorrow at 11? I forwarded the exchange to Nicole with a message. Watch how fast she tells Wallace. Sure enough, within an hour, Wallace casually mentioned over dinner, You know, you shouldn't worry about updating your will right now. I can handle all that later. But Gianna said, I stopped, feigning confusion. Oh, did she mention our coffee plans? Wallace's fork clattered against his plate. She might have texted me. I don't remember. Of course, I smiled weakly. My memory's not what it used to be. The next morning, I met Gianna at our usual cafe. She was already there, wearing the bracelet. Before we discuss the will, I said, setting my phone to record, I wanted to ask your opinion about something. Wallace mentioned a property by the beach. Gianna's coffee cup rattled against its saucer. Did he? Yes, something about his parents retiring there? I'm having trouble remembering the details. Oh, Sunset Oasis. Her eyes lit up before she caught herself. I think that's what he mentioned. Right. Will you be visiting once it's ready? Well, maybe someday. My phone buzzed. Nicole again. Got the guest list for the opening event. Gianna's listed as future Mrs. Pierce. I stood up abruptly, swaying for effect. I'm not feeling well. Rain check on the will discussion? Of course. Gianna jumped up, all concern. Should I call Wallace? No need. I'm sure he's busy with client meetings. At home, I forwarded the recording to Nicole, adding it to our growing evidence file. Then I called Amber. I need copies of every document Tony brings to the office, I said. Can you help? Already on it, she replied. And Olivia, I found something else. Wallace has been meeting with a divorce lawyer. I laughed bitterly. Why bother with divorce when he's counting on a death certificate? No, Amber said quietly. The consultations were from before your diagnosis. He's been planning this for over a year. The room spun. I gripped the counter, memories flooding back. Wallace's sudden interest in my health last year, his insistence on those unnecessary medical tests, the new doctors. My phone lit up with a text from Wallace. Working late again. Don't forget your meds. Love you. Below it, another message appeared from an unknown number. Mrs. Pierce, this is Tony. We need to talk. It's about Wallace and what he's planning for after the anniversary party. Meet me tomorrow? I stared at the message, my hands steady for the first time in weeks. Perfect timing, Tony, I whispered. Let's see what else my husband's best friend can add to the evidence pile. I met Tony at a quiet diner on the outskirts of town. He looked nervous, fidgeting with his coffee cup as I slid into the booth across from him. Thanks for meeting me, he said, glancing around. I've been struggling with this for weeks. With what, Tony? Your role in helping my husband plan for my death? He flinched. It's not like that. Wallace said you discussed everything, that you wanted to make sure he was taken care of. Really? I pulled out my phone, playing one of Wallace's recorded conversations about hiding my medical bills. Does this sound like someone who's discussed everything with his wife? Tony's face drained of color. I didn't know. What exactly are you handling for him, Tony? The property transfer? The insurance policies? Or just the paperwork for his new life with Gianna? How did you know about Gianna? The same way I know about the trust fund from Wallace's parents. The one that only pays out if I conveniently die before the property transfer. Tony pushed his coffee aside. Jordan and Glenn insisted on the clause. They said it was to protect the family assets. From me? They never thought you were good enough for Wallace. He leaned forward. But this has gone too far. The things they're planning. Tell me, after the anniversary party, Wallace is going to announce the property purchase. It's supposed to look like a surprise gift for his parents. But really, he swallowed hard. They're planning to move Gianna in by Christmas. And where do they expect me to be by Christmas? Olivia. Say it, Tony. They have a hospice already picked out. His voice cracked. Wallace said your condition would deteriorate rapidly after the party. Something about medication changes. My hand tightened around my phone. Did my loving husband mention how he's been tampering with my prescriptions? Tony's eyes widened. What? Nicole, I called out. My sister emerged from a nearby booth, legal pad in hand. Got it all recorded, sis. Tony jumped. You set me up. Consider it your chance at redemption, I said. You can either help us stop this, or you can face conspiracy charges when everything comes out. They'll know I talked. They're going to know a lot of things soon. I slid a document across the table. Sign it. What is it? Your sworn statement about everything you just told us. Nicole had it prepared. His hand shook as he signed. What are you going to do? Watch the show, I said, standing up. Front row seats at the anniversary party. Back home, I found Wallace in his office, looking troubled. Everything okay? I asked innocently. Tony's acting strange. Canceled our meeting today. He studied my face. How are you feeling? Tired, but I want to look my best for your parents' party. About that, he shifted in his chair. Maybe it's too much for you. No, I said firmly. I want to be there for the big surprise. His eyebrows shot up. What surprise? The property announcement? For your parents? I made my voice dreamy, confused. Or was that just a dream I had? My memory's so foggy lately. Must be the medication, he said quickly. Why don't you lie down? That night, Nicole came over with the final pieces of evidence. The trust fund documentation proves everything. Jordan and Glenn signed off on all of it. Did you find the medication logs? She nodded grimly. Amber copied Wallace's entire email exchange with some shady online pharmacy. He's been systematically replacing your heart medication with placebos. Perfect. I pulled out my phone, showing her the text I'd just received from Gianna. Can't wait to help you get ready for the party. We'll make sure you look absolutely heavenly. Heavenly, Nicole spat, like they're dressing you for your own funeral. They are. I smiled coldly. They just don't know it's their funeral too. We spent the next hour finalizing our plan. Every document, recording, and piece of evidence was organized and backed up. Nicole had prepared legal papers that would freeze all assets the moment we revealed everything. Are you sure about this? She asked finally. Once we start, they're already trying to kill me, I said quietly. The least I can do is make sure they suffer for it. My phone buzzed. Wallace. Ordered your dress for the party. Something elegant and white. Mom's idea. How thoughtful, I texted back. I'm sure I'll look absolutely angelic. Nicole squeezed my hand. One more week. I looked at our wedding photo again, at the happy, trusting bride I used to be. One more week until they learn what happens when you try to bury someone who's not dead yet. The country club ballroom sparkled with champagne glasses and fake smiles. Nicole wheeled me in, playing up my fragility as Wallace's mother, Jordan, approached. Olivia, darling, Jordan air-kissed my cheek. So brave of you to come. You look, she paused delicately, comfortable. Thank you for insisting on the white dress, I said softly. It feels appropriate somehow. Jordan's smile flickered. Behind her, Wallace worked the room, charming as ever in his tailored suit. He caught my eye and raised his glass. I returned the gesture with my water glass, noticing how Gianna lingered just within his orbit, wearing a navy dress that matched his tie. Everything ready? Nicole whispered. I patted my clutch containing the tablet. All set. Amber? In position by the AV controls. Glenn, Wallace's father, took the microphone. Welcome, everyone. Jordan and I are so touched you could all join us for our 50th anniversary. Applause rippled through the room. I watched Wallace move toward the stage, straightening his tie. And now, our son Wallace would like to say a few words. Wallace stepped up, radiating confidence. Mom, Dad, your marriage has been an inspiration. You taught me the meaning of family, of legacy. His eyes found mine, of sacrifice. More applause. Jordan dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Which is why, Wallace continued, I have a special announcement. Excuse me? I called out, my voice stronger than it had been in months. Before that, I have something to share. The room hushed as Nicole wheeled me toward the stage. I gripped the arms of the wheelchair, pushing myself up. Darling, Wallace started, you should stay seated. No, I don't think I should. I reached the microphone, pulling out my tablet. You see, I've been sitting quietly for far too long. Amber dimmed the lights. The projector hummed to life. I'd like to show everyone what real family loyalty looks like, I said, tapping the tablet screen. Wallace's voice filled the room. Once she's gone, we'll renovate the master suite for you and Dad. Gianna's already picked out the furnishings. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Gianna's face went pale. Or perhaps this one? Another tap. Wallace and Jordan's voices discussing my convenient death over lunch. Then Tony's confession about the trust fund, the medication logs, the forged signatures. Olivia, stop this, Wallace hissed, reaching for the tablet. Why? Afraid of what comes next? I swiped again. Security footage from his office showed him and Gianna in an intimate embrace, planning their future in the beach house. You're embarrassing yourself, Jordan snapped, but her voice shook. No, I'm exposing you, all of you. I turned to the stunned crowd. They've been slowly poisoning me, replacing my heart medication with placebos, waiting for me to die so they could collect insurance money and trust funds. Wallace lunged for the microphone, but Tony stepped forward. It's true. I helped with the paperwork. I'm sorry, Olivia. I'm so sorry. You treacherous little... Wallace swung at Tony, but security guards, arranged by Nicole, were already moving in. The police have copies of everything, I announced, including the evidence of insurance fraud, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Gianna bolted for the door. Jordan collapsed into a chair, Glenn standing frozen beside her. The property you planned to buy with my death? I smiled coldly at Wallace. I had Nicole put a lien on it last week. And the trust fund? Frozen? Pending criminal investigation? You can't prove anything, Wallace snarled, but his face had gone ashen. Actually, Amber called out, holding up her phone, I've been live streaming this whole thing, including that admission you just made about the medication. The ballroom erupted in chaos. Guests rushed to distance themselves from the scandal. Through it all, I remained standing, my heart surprisingly steady. I trusted you, I said to Wallace, my voice carrying over the commotion. I loved you, and you tried to kill me for a beach house and your mother's approval. Olivia, please? He reached for me, his mask finally cracking. We can explain. Save it for your lawyer. I nodded to the police officers entering the ballroom. They're here for you, by the way, all of you. As they led Wallace away in handcuffs, I turned to Jordan. By the way, happy anniversary. I hear prison visits are allowed on special occasions. Nicole appeared at my side with a real pill bottle. Ready to go? I looked around the destroyed party, the scattered guests, the abandoned anniversary cake, the shattered illusion of the perfect family. Just one more thing. I picked up Wallace's abandoned champagne glass. To new beginnings, and to karma, which really is a patient, methodical bitch. I drained the glass as police lights flashed outside, illuminating the ballroom in waves of red and blue. The aftermath unfolded like a slow-motion car crash. Police swarmed the ballroom, taking statements from shell-shocked guests. Gianna hadn't made it far. They caught her in the parking lot, mascara streaming down her face. You don't understand, she sobbed as they led her back inside. Wallace promised me. A beautiful life by the beach? I interrupted. Built on my grave? She crumpled into a chair. He said you were dying anyway, that we'd be doing you a favor, making your last months peaceful. By replacing my medication with sugar pills? A detective approached, notepad in hand. Mrs. Pierce will need your full statement. Of course. I handed him a USB drive. This contains everything. Recordings, documents, medical records showing medication tampering. My sister Nicole can walk you through the legal details. Across the room, Jordan was having a meltdown. Do you know who we are? You can't treat us like common criminals. Actually, Nicole stepped forward, legal papers in hand. We can. Conspiracy to commit murder is still murder, even when you do it from your country club. Glenn finally spoke up, his voice trembling. We were just trying to protect our son's inheritance. By killing his wife? Tony stood nearby, handcuffed but talking. That's what finally got to me. The way you all discussed it like a business transaction. Wallace remained eerily quiet, watching me with a mixture of hatred and something else. Respect, maybe. Or fear. You could have just divorced me, I said, walking over to him. Instead, you chose this elaborate plot. Why? The trust required me to be widowed, not divorced. His smile was cold. Mom and Dad's idea. They never thought you were good enough for their precious bloodline. Speaking of blood, Nicole interrupted, the DA is very interested in those tampered medication bottles. Premeditated murder carries a hefty sentence. Amber approached with her phone. The live stream hit 100,000 views. People are already calling it the Death Do Us Part scandal. Turn that off, Jordan shrieked, lunging for the phone. 2 officers held her back. No, let it roll, I said. Let everyone see what happens when you marry into a family of vipers. The detective returned. We'll need you all down at the station. Mrs. Pierce, given your medical condition, we can take your statement tomorrow. Actually, I pulled out a medical report. I've been taking my real medication for weeks now. Amazing how much better you feel when your husband isn't trying to poison you. Wallace's head snapped up. What? Did you really think I wouldn't notice the different pills? I've been documenting everything since I found that property contract. Every fake pill, every secret meeting, every transfer of money. You played us, he whispered. I learned from the best, darling. As they led him away, Wallace turned back. I did love you once. No, I replied. You loved the idea of me. The quiet, compliant wife who would die conveniently and leave you a wealthy widower. Instead, you got me. The ballroom slowly emptied. Guests hurried out, already calling their social circles with the gossip. The anniversary cake sat abandoned, its 50 years of love inscription now painfully ironic. Nicole hugged me tight. You did it. We did it, I corrected, including Amber in the hug. I couldn't have managed this without you both. What happens now? Amber asked. Now? I picked up my clutch, pulling out the business card Dr. Marshall had given me. I schedule my surgery. Thanks to the evidence Nicole uncovered, the court froze Wallace's assets. Turns out attempted murder invalidates those clever trust fund clauses. And the beach house? I smiled. I'm thinking of turning it into a shelter for victims of domestic abuse. Seems fitting. Tony called out as they led him away. Olivia, check Wallace's office safe behind the painting. There's more you should see. Nicole raised an eyebrow. Want to make one more stop tonight? Why not? The night's still young, and apparently, I'm not dying anymore. We left the ruined party behind, stepping into the cool night air. Police lights still pulsed, casting alternating shadows across the country club's manicured lawn. Somewhere in the distance, I heard Jordan wailing about her reputation. My phone buzzed, messages flooding in from guests, reporters, old friends. But one caught my eye. Dr. Marshall. Saw the news. Operating rooms available next week. Ready to fix that heart of yours? I looked at Nicole and Amber, my real family, then back at the chaos we'd left behind. Yes, I typed back. Though it turns out my heart was stronger than anyone expected. As we drove away, Nicole squeezed my hand. You know this isn't over. They'll fight back. Let them, I said. I'm done playing dead. The morning sun streamed through my hospital window as I packed my belongings. My new heart valve ticked steadily, a constant reminder that I'd chosen to live. Ready to go home? Nicole asked, folding my robe. Not to the old house, I said. I already had the locks changed anyway. My phone buzzed. Another update from the DA's office. Wallace had taken a plea deal, turning on his parents in exchange for a reduced sentence. 15 years instead of 25. Gianna got 5 years for conspiracy. Tony received probation for his cooperation. Have you seen this? Nicole held up her tablet showing me a news article. Jordan and Glenn's social circle is imploding. Apparently they've done this before. To Glenn's first wife. History repeats itself, I murmured, until someone breaks the cycle. A knock at the door. Amber, carrying a thick manila envelope. You need to see this. We found it in Wallace's safe, just like Tony said. Inside were documents dating back 3 years. Life insurance policies on other women, all cancelled. Names I recognized from Wallace's past, a pattern emerging. He was planning this long before me, I said. I was just the one who finally fell for it. And the one who stopped it, Amber added. Dr. Marshall entered with my discharge papers. Your recovery is remarkable, though I suspect that has more to do with your spirit than my surgical skills. Speaking of recovery, Nicole grinned, wait until you see what we've done with the beach house. The drive took an hour. As we pulled up to Sunset Oasis, I saw the new sign, Phoenix House, Women's Recovery Center. Inside, the luxury finishes remained, but the space had been transformed. The master suite Jordan had planned now housed a counseling center. The gourmet kitchen served healing meals instead of poisoned ones. First residents arrive next week, Nicole said. Women escaping situations just like yours, but with less dramatic endings. I wouldn't be so sure, I smiled. Every woman has her breaking point. Sometimes it just takes seeing someone else break free first. My phone rang. A blocked number. I answered on speaker. Olivia, Wallace's voice from prison. We need to talk. No, we don't. I just want to understand, how long did you know? Long enough to learn from you, darling. You taught me patience, calculation, the art of the long game. Consider it your lasting contribution to our marriage. The money's gone, he said flatly. The trust, the properties, everything. Not gone, redistributed. Your mother must be devastated that her precious family fortune is helping the kind of women she looks down on. Silence then. I underestimated you. That was your first mistake. The second was thinking I'd choose a quiet death over messy justice. I hung up as Amber called from the balcony. Come see the sunset. We stood together, watching waves crash against the shore. Below, workers installed security cameras and electronic gates, protecting future residents from their own Wallaces. The DA wants you to speak at the sentencing, Nicole said. Share your story. Our story, I corrected, about how 3 women outsmarted a family of sociopaths. 4, came a voice behind us. We turned to see Gianna's sister Maria, carrying boxes of donated supplies. Gianna wrote me a letter from prison, said watching you fight back made her realize what she'd become. She's testifying against Jordan and Glenn next month. I nodded. Redemption comes in many forms. My new heart ticked steadily as I walked the grounds of what should have been my gilded cage. In the kitchen, volunteers prepared welcome packages for incoming residents. In the library, legal advisors set up workstations to help women reclaim their lives. You know, Amber said, Wallace always bragged about leaving a legacy. He did, I smiled, just not the one he planned. That evening, as sunset painted the ocean gold, I sat down at my laptop and began to write. To the woman reading this from her own cage of luxury, wondering if she's crazy, if she's alone, if she's really as weak as they say she is. You're not. Your survival instincts are screaming for a reason. Listen to them. They think your silence means surrender. Let them. Every cage has its weakness. Every jailer has their blind spot. And every woman has her breaking point. Find yours, then break free. They won't see you coming. They never do. With love and strength, Olivia. I hit post and watched the message go live on Phoenix House's website. Behind me, Nicole and Amber prepared dinner, their laughter echoing through rooms once meant to house my killers. My phone lit up with notifications as the post began to spread. Women reaching out, sharing stories, finding courage. They thought they were writing my obituary. Instead, I wrote their legacy. And somewhere in a prison cell, Wallace was finally learning what his mother never taught him. Hell hath no fury like a woman who chooses to live.